Yes, 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 and yes. Good evening, Periscope. Good evening, Facebook Live. Good evening, YouTube Live. We're here again on a Monday night. It's VTTV Monday, and tonight we've got the full team. And first in line, because he's got focus and he doesn't look very happy. I suspect it's because it's a Monday. We have Matt Gerrish. Matt, say hello to the viewership.
Hello. How you doing?
There you are. That's Matt. That's Matt Gerrish. That's who that is. That's Matt. That's Matt. Who next week will be working in the bridge end over troubled water? Will you not?
Working is kind of.
I didn't. Sorry, I'm sorry about the language.
It's a bit fictional.
And Periscope's just welcomed you back. It said, "Welcome back, Matt." It said.
Oh, welcome back, Periscope. Hang on.
No, that doesn't work.
How does one address Periscope?
Folks.
Folks. Okay, folks.
Okay, folks. Yes, okay, they are.
Lovely, folks.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Next up in line, we have Mr. David Kitson of that ilk, the first of his name. And I wish he was on speakers, because if he was, I would shout Alexa before I brought him in. Dave?
Alexa, say good evening.
Good evening.
There you go.
So there's two of you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
That's cracking. I'm going to get one of them. Got to get one of them. Yeah, Sprotty, yes, we have seen that, and guess what we're talking about tonight? Don't you worry, pal. That's definitely going to happen. And one of the partners in crime on that will be the Yorkshireman with the fastest broadband in the West Riding. That would be the one and only Mark. Oh, Mark, are you there?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm not actually in the West Riding, Dave. I'm in the south of Yorkshire.
Yes, but that wouldn't have worked, would it?
No, it wouldn't, and it's more just seamless kind of link to me, really. But I used to live in the West Riding, yeah, but I don't know more in it. You know what I mean? God blimey, stand on me. Yes.
Make your bloody mind up which accent you're using, will you?
I'm channeling the inner Dave Dawn tonight.
Oh yeah.
And yes, and we're going to be talking all about all sorts of what have you.
Oh, that we will. That we will and definitely shall. Ogle Sachs has just joined on Periscope. How many people are we seeing on the various different platforms that we have? I see we've got 58 watching on YouTube.
Yes, we've got 50 odd in our chat room.
Excellent stuff.
Mike B. Hello, Mike B. You just said hello to me. Yeah.
And there are people coming in on Periscope. I can't even keep track. And
there are a mighty 9 people on the Book of Facing at the minute.
Well, you know how it is with the Book of Facing. That kind of happens later.
Yes,
it does. Talking about the Book of Facing, it was very, very much a case of bring the custard creams, because it's all kicking off on Facebook today. And here is where it was kicking off. This guy's called Andrew Hall, who apparently added 7 new photos, it says there. Now, I don't know about you lads, but I was getting tagged into this by God knows how many people today. This was Colin Stobbs actually tagged me into this because he was getting some grief from Norman Taylorson, who said, and this is important, this is Colin Stobbs, thought you told me these were safe. And then we get into the story. Let me read it out for you. It says, from Andrew Hall, well, it's been a really rough 24 hours plus, but I feel I have to share. Thank you for my family, and especially Ariel, for taking care of me. But yesterday morning I was getting ready for work when I had something happen to me that I didn't expect possible. I'm currently in the ICU and doing well, so rest assured, and these are very graphic photos. I vape, I know, terrible and uncool, but I no longer do, and I hope to possibly sway those that do to maybe reevaluate or find other methods of smoking. I've been doing this for about a year now, and assure you I did not do anything I wasn't supposed to. Battery was in right, always had the shop put it together when I first bought it, and add things and maintenance it the right way while taking their advice, but it exploded in my face. I've lost at least 7 teeth, 2nd degree burns to face and neck, and have been pulling chunks of plastic teeth and foreign objects from my mouth, throat and lips. I was lucky, go away Darren, I was lucky, and there was a huge amount of damage to the room in my house I was in as well. Please feel free to share my story and take care. Thank you again, friends, work and family that have reached out to offer help. I greatly appreciate it. And then he said, I did revise this to state clearly that before the laws changed, yes, it was easier for me to have them build my coils. I did it after the laws changed and did everything myself. I never had any issues with overheating or concerns until the unfortunate happened. I know vapes help people quit smoking cigarettes and that's amazing. I just want to bring to light this is possible, that they can explode without warning. I would have said no way that's possible until now. Thank you again for everyone that has not went to the instant this is fake and actually know I'm real. This really happened and I'm blessed. This could have been so much worse. Thank you again for those who understand the meaning of this post. And then you can see underneath there, it says, from Colin, I've reposted it to Dave Dawn and I'm sure he'll give a much better and comprehensive reply than me. Now I'll read what I've written and then I'm going to throw it up to the lads and we'll see where we get with this, because this has had my blood boiling all day. So this is what I said. I said bottom line, and I don't actually care if I upset anyone. This bloke was using a hybrid mech mod. That's basically a battery holder with a threaded hole at one end. Up until August 8th last year, he was having his vape shop build his coils for him, and from what I can gather, checking out his kit for safety. That tells me that he's not personally capable of using kit that requires a massive amount of knowledge and ability. He has, since the law changed in the USA, had to build his own coils and see to his own maintenance, and by his own admission, he's not knowledgeable enough so to do. Now, that's not to denigrate him in any way. I've got a fair idea how brakes work on a motorbike, but there's no way would I ever attempt to do any work on them. I'm neither knowledgeable nor skillful enough to do that, and I can well imagine that exactly the same would happen to me as happened to the Vapor. It'd end in tears. Mechs and hybrids are inherently requiring of much skill and knowledge, both of which I have, but like the brakes, I wouldn't and don't use mechs at all. Regulated battery units are readily available and prevent this kind of thing. They are very safe. As safe, in fact, as a torch that takes a lithium-ion battery. Now, Colin said cheers to that, but we've been through this 1,000,001 times. Matt, you've got Focus at the moment. What's your take?
Right, this is the first I've heard about this. I've been kind of out the loop, so I'm just digesting it. So he was definitely using a hybrid mech, was he?
Yeah, one of the Twitterati found out what it was, and it's a hybrid.
Right. Well, I think I've gone on record before for saying that I don't really see the point in the things at all anymore. And the fact that he's revised it as well to mention about the rules and regulations changing, that he never had any trouble when the shop was doing his builds for him. That's kind of telling of what may happen in the future.
Well, it is very much so, because in the States now, and apparently there's moves afoot to change this about, but in the States at the moment, unless these moves come around, if you go into a shop and ask a shop to change your coil in an RDA or an RTA or an RBA, if they do that, they are considered manufacturers and fall foul of all kinds of stuff. Right. So they can't actually help. They can't, as I understand it, even change batteries, but we'll come back to that in a bit. So he's been going and getting the shop to do the coiling for him, and now he's got to do it himself, and patently, it would appear, he wasn't capable. So while you mull that, Mr. Kitson, I know you'll have something to say on this.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would say to the guy is I hope he gets better soon, because poor bugger's in a right mess.
He is, yes.
He's lost 7 teeth, half his face is missing, and his house hasn't fared much better than him from what I can tell from the pictures. I think what your reply there, whilst factually correct, I've still got a bit of sympathy for people, because I'm not convinced that when he bought that anybody would have stressed to him the risks associated with using a non-regulated mech mod. Yeah, hybrid or twisted messes atomizer or whatever the hell was on it. Makes no difference, does it? You referred to the Twitterati, and somebody worked out, apparently he commented at some point over the last day or so that he was using a 0.08 ohm coil.
Jesus.
and the battery seems to be a 30 amp battery. So, you know, that you're asking for trouble. Now, who's responsible for that? Clearly, the guy didn't know or chose to ignore, and he's basically saying that he, you know, from what we've read, he was incompetent, which is obviously not the same as stupid. You know, so I've got to perhaps I'm getting soft in my old age, but I've got a bit more sympathy for the guy than some people who replied on Facebook. Put it that way.
Well, let's be right. Let me say. I mean, I'm not unsympathetic.
I'm sure,
and I'm gonna make a few suggestions a little bit later on that I don't think it's all his fault. In fact, I don't even think it's half his fault. But we'll come to where the fault lies as we go down the road. I think you know where I'm going with it. But sorry, Dave, back to you.
Yeah, no problem. Just while you were talking there, no, I wasn't. Your comment, I think, was bang on the money. It was some others. Hey, when I last checked it, it had about 190,000 shares.
Yeah.
And God knows how many tens of thousands comments at this stage. So, you know, you can imagine every troll and lunatic has had their 2 pence by now. And some people are quite scathing of the poor bugger. And, you know, I just, you know, want to make it clear that I hope he gets better soon, because that's what really matters. A comment popped up while you were talking there from John Summers, and he's saying the problem is the fashion for mechs because they're tough and street. And I think you're right. I mean, I don't go in vape shops very often. I just don't have no cause to. But when I have gone in, particularly the ones that are frequented by the hobbyist vapors who are into their mechs and stuff like that, you can very easily see how somebody could go in and be tempted to go for something like that.
Well,
if you've got all these sort of experienced, cool, to use John's term, tough and street types who obviously know what they're doing using that, you know, you can understand that some people would think, oh, well, it's obviously one of them I need.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Dave, when you think about it, I've got this Rulo RX 300 in my hand, right? The 4 battery job.
Me too.
Right? Now, have we all got one? Oh, well, there you go. But let's for argument's sake say it's 65 quid, because the prices vary all over the place. But let's say it's 65 quid for that one. And if you go into a vape shop and there's the RX 300 is sitting in a nice display case and it's there at 65 quid, and then in the next door display case, you've got the boutique, handmade, totally gloriously wonderful tube mods, hybrids, just with a hole in the top and a button on the bottom, and they're 350 quid or whatever price those buggers are selling at these days. You're going to look at that, 65 quid, so that's a Yugo, and you look at the 350 quid, that's the Range Rover. Which one are you going to pick, assuming you've got the wherewithal?
It depends on the kind of person you are, doesn't it?
But it
depends what's important to you, because you know, we talk about, and we will talk some more, I'm sure, about the advantages and disadvantages of mechanical and regulated mods. But one of the distinct advantages of a mechanical mod, if you are that way inclined, is that it's sleeker, it looks neater, it's smaller, it's in many ways cooler than the big brick. Yeah.
You're talking to a Range Rover driver, man. I like big bricks.
Hey, look, I think for the 4 of us sitting in this studio setup, you know, I think we're all very similar there. But you know, a lot of people don't. That's the fact. It is cool. It is street. There is something more visually appealing. Hey, look, if they could get those electronics into a neat tube, I'd be using the neat tube.
Well, we did.
Yes.
Did we?
Yes, we did. We all had them. We all had tubes with electronics in.
Yeah, but not very good electronics. Not the electronics like these.
They were the leading edge until box mods become to the forefront. People wanted box mods, not the tubes. So the development really sort of slowed down on the tube mods.
Yeah, I think it's probably got more to do with the form factor of the box mod. Lets you put more sophisticated electronics in there. You've limited in a tube before it ends up. Remember that thing that Joytech brought out?
Which
It
one?
took a 17670, and it was nice, lovely diameter, but about a foot long.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, I can't, and if somebody can correct me, that'd be ace. But I can't think of a sort of temperature control, regulated tube mod that's actually not unwieldy.
Pravari.
Oh,
The Pravari?
Pravari, the Daiko's Diani.
Yeah, but even so, the Pravari's still huge.
It's not.
And what was
The
other one?
original one wasn't, but that basically was just variable voltage. Didn't have any nice the features that we
Do you
like.
remember the Wizard's Apprentice?
Do I what? Sorry.
There was a mod called the Wizard's Apprentice or something like that.
Yes, that is made of unobtainium.
That's right.
Limited numbers.
I know he did at least do a DNA 40 version.
Right. He refused to sell me one.
He probably heard you. He must have heard about you, Dave.
It's a long story, which best done over beer. But
John Summers has said there's a 50-watt temperature control one that takes an 18650. The Pro Vape Pro Scion, Danny Dicodes. There's all. I mean, they exist. They do exist, but not. It's not like, you know, they're more like panthers out in the wild rather than sparrows, I would think, because the tendency for the moment is towards box mods. We've been sitting chatting here, and I'm going to bet that Marco is sitting bouncing up and down on his bouncy up and down chair, and he's itching to get in, aren't you, Marco?
I was muted.
No.
Yeah. There was another post that was linked on the post that was posted into our group by a guy called Paul Grace. And he said that he'd chatted with the guy, Andrew. He was using a mech mod. The shop had put the coils in, which we already know. Never changed since. But then later on, he says that he did change the coils himself, using the same type of coils they'd put in when he first got it. He had little knowledge of building or using a mech. He said the blame lies with the shop for bad advice and not asking you the right questions, and with himself for not educating himself on the equipment he's using. At the end of the day, unless you understand what you're using, and unless you understand Ohm's law when you're building coils at that low resistance, then it's likely that it's going to end in a bang at the end of the day.
Can I just butt in? It's not only Ohm's law.
No, it's not.
It's a lot of these guys that use mechs, and a lot of it, whatever, they are taking what the manufacturers of the batteries say can do at the face value. They don't have the means and the wherewithal to actually test these cells themselves.
This is true.
I have in my hand, right, there it is, and all right, it's an E-Fest, but apparently E-Fest 26650s are amongst the best of them. This thing claims to have a discharge current of 32 amps constant and 64 amps pulsed. Now, there's no way on the face of this planet would I trust that battery at those levels. I just wouldn't. And if you know Ohm's law and you can work out what it's going to pull, the problem is not with, as I see it at any rate, it's not just the resistance of the coil. It just isn't. It's about what your battery can supply. And we've all got batteries that claim to be 40 amps, 18650s that claim to be 40 amps, and then you look at Mooch and you look at what Torchy's got on them, and they'll tell you that the bloody things are 18 amp, 15 amp, and I wouldn't use it above 10 to be safe. But they've got 40 amp written on the bloody things. It's no wonder they go bang. That'll shut everybody up.
Let's be honest here. E-Fest, for example, have cottoned on. They cottoned on quite early on. Vapors are looking for those big numbers. So E-Fest will wrap their batteries with whatever. no two batteries are created 100% equal. They can't just roll out a batch and put 40 amps on them.
No.
You just can't do it. And let's be completely honest, the 18650 wasn't intended for this purpose.
No.
You know, we've gone over this before.
It's. I don't know that it's. I don't want to say that it's dishonest, because I don't think that any vendor is being knowingly dishonest when they sell a battery that's wrapped and has strange, well, what we would think were strange readings on. I mean, I've got another one here. This is a Keep Power, a black one, right? Another 26650. And you might wonder why. Well, I took the view that 26650s, because of the form factor, would be capable of higher pulsed and constant current. This one claims a max constant current of 30 amp and a pulse of 50 amp. Now then, I'm very clever in some ways in that I can see through the wraps on these. It's the same bloody battery underneath, both of them, from the same manufacturer. How is it possible that one has a rating of 64 amps pulse and the other one has a rating of 50 amps pulse? If you read the black one and use it at whatever, and you don't exceed that, you stand a much better chance of that not going bang than that one if you go up to 64 amps. It's craziness. Utter bloody craziness. Dave, sorry, go on.
I was about to say, there's also the weird phenomenon that happens when people start vaping. And that is, all of a sudden, they are reluctant to spend any money when they would have spent a tenner on a packet of 20. And they will go for the cheapest batteries possible.
I've got to be honest and say I saw a tweet earlier on today that said the cheapest supplier for batteries is xxxxx.co.uk. And I thought, well, nah, I'm not interested in the cheapest, I'm interested in the best. I want the best. And I'll try as many as I need to, and I'll read Mooch, and I'll read Torchy, and find out what they've got to say about batteries, because those two guys have got the equipment to test them. And they've got no real axe to grind.
There are only two vendors I will buy batteries from, one of which is Torchy.
Says a lot. Dave, what about you? What do you reckon to all this, the ratings and stuff?
I think, isn't that conversation very similar to the conversations we had 3 or 4 years ago about juice manufacturers?
Yes.
You know, yes, that guy does it over there for a couple of quid a bottle, yeah, but he mixes it in his bog.
I don't really want to go to Pubegate, but we both know
exactly Pubegate.
Yeah,
you've got it. And I can remember saying exactly the same things. You know, personally, I'm prepared to pay that little bit extra to go to one of the trustworthy vendors of the time. I think things are a bit different with juice now because they got the scare of their lives, didn't they? And things are a bit better than they were. Regarding all these ratings, right, okay, I have never bothered to go and understand all of the science and the physics behind battery discharge rates or what having been an experienced vapor or being an experienced vapor, what I do is see what everybody else recommends, and when somebody I trust recommends something, I go and get that. I buy all my batteries now from Torchy. There's very little left in this house that hasn't got a yellow wrapper on it. And, you know, I'm not a commissioner or anything, guys. But I buy them in 3s and they arrive like that in that box.
Yes.
I'm just not going to have a problem now.
Big round of applause for in 2 ways. 1, that Torchy sends them out like that, and 2, that you've actually got them in the box. Because
yeah, well,
let's
I do that to keep them organised. Yeah,
but you're also keeping yourself safe, Dave.
You might also notice that they've got faded numbers written on them as well. That is group 3.
Yes. We've had a message through. Sav is busily working hard in the background here, actually, he always does. And this is from Martin Andrew Buckley. He says, I don't use mech mods, just single 18650 single cell and regulated boxes. Could someone explain all this hits like a train thing, please? Go on then, let's let Mark talk about hitting like a train. Because he used to be
That,
one.
not getting hit by a train, and don't forget to unmute, Marco.
I've unmuted. You don't want to get hit by a train, and you don't want to mess around on level crossings, kids.
So
Just
come
thought I'd
on,
get that
hits like a train. Explain that.
It depends on. Is it Martin? Yeah.
Yeah, Martin.
Is he meaning on the amount of vape, or is he on about the throat hit, or?
It's hits like a train. What do you
Yeah,
understand by?
I think it's that phrase that we do hear from time to time. Oh, you want to get one of these with one of them on top. It's like a train.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but the last thing I actually seek for my pleasure-seeking thrills is being hit by a fucking locomotive.
You need to broaden your horizons, mate.
I think I do, really. I'm a bit sheltered.
You've never lived, mate. You've never lived. You've never lived.
No.
Just picture that train, that really long, luscious, fat train entering that tunnel at speed. That's what you're looking for, isn't it?
Are we on different wavelengths right now?
Could be. Could I?
You
Shall I?
can, Dave.
Go on, then I will. Right. Hits like a train. Hits like a train. What's it mean? In the old days, in the good old days, when all we had was cigarette batteries and egos, we used to buy atomizers by the resistance that they came at. That was the way it was. And there was this whole notion that you wanted good production, you wanted excellent vapor production, and you wanted throat hit. That was kind of where we were in the early days of all of this kind of stuff. Now, of course, when you got the combination that gave you a shed load of vapor and throat hit and satisfied your every desire, then you would say, oh man, you want to get one of these. It hits like a train. It's brilliant. And it usually meant that it was warm, if not hot, and that you would get all this crackling and poppling and stuff going on, and that we used to look for that. The sign of an atomizer working was the crackle and the pop that you used to get.
If it didn't sizzle, it was shit.
Yeah, exactly what Dave said. If it didn't sizzle, it was shit. That was what we were looking. I mean, I well remember Andy sitting there, and the phrase "white out" and a little giggle when you've got this lovely crackly poppy sort of thing going on, and there's this, we would think, a wimpy cloud of vapor these days, but that was white out in those. And it hit like a train. It's basically just another way of saying it's good, I like it, and I want more of it. For instance, I could say I have on top of this Rayler RX 300, which we will be getting video on for next Monday, won't we, Marco? He's muted again.
I was muted. Yeah, I couldn't get round to it this weekend, so I'm going to do it this weekend.
Yes.
I couldn't do it last weekend, so I'm going to do it this weekend.
Well,
He's
quite.
a mutant.
He's a mutant.
I was just checking through it because Gary Dibley raised a question in chat. I'm just trying to find it.
Okay. Well, let me know when you do. I'll go back to where I was. Where was I? Yes. So I could say I've got this RX 300. It has 4 batteries in the bottom, not 3. 4. It has 4. That's one less than 5 and one more than 3 batteries in there. And folks will be saying, well, Dave, what do you run it at? Now, it's capable of 300 watts. I run it at 125 with a 10 coil core in my TFV8. And that gives me the temperature that I'm looking for. It gives me the vapor that I'm looking for, and that's fine. But this thing here, it says 50 to 300 watts, best 130 to 190. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it up. I'm holding down the button, and I have now gone, and I'm foolhardy for doing this, but I'm doing it anyway, get up there to 200 watts. Now I've got no idea whether you'll be able to see, probably not, but I'll put it up anyway just in case you can. Try and get it right. You might be able to see it's set at 200 watts there. So shall I give it a go? Go on then. 200 watts on a 12 coil core in a TFV8, and let's see whether I like it or not. That, bloody hell, it hits like a train. But I don't want to be hit. Christ, I couldn't do that all day. Jesus, man. That is bloody hell. Lads, I think you'll had better talk between yourself. I've gone dizzy.
Have you?
Oh, I have.
Well, I've got a ruler thing here. I've no idea what model. It's the big one that's like awkward shaped. And I can do this. See, a relatively miserly amount of vapor because I'm vaping at a whole 21 watts.
Go on then,
If it floats your
Marco.
boat,
Marco, what are you at?
I am at 60 watts on the Relo RX300. I have got a Wind Force, the Wind Force tank on, with 3 milligram juice.
oh, it's that sprout juice again.
Wind Force, eh? Come
And
on.
it's rather nice.
Is it?
I did by mistake vape at 300 watts.
And?
It wasn't very nice.
Well, I mean,
it was a tad harsh.
yes. Well, the 200 watts wasn't harsh. It was just bloody hot. Not for me.
I'll take it to 100 watts and see. Hold on.
Go on then. Oh, 100 watts, you devil.
Plenty of vapor, but destroys the taste.
Yes. Matt, what are you doing?
Looking at a camera. But also I've got 102 watts, if that matters, and it vapes.
Just while we're talking there, WraithTech's making a really good point there, which is bang on the money. One of the reasons a lot of people went to mech mods is when the early regulated mods wouldn't let you go below an ohm.
Yes.
So if you wanted to sub-ohm, you kind of had to use a mech. But and I know WraithTech is making the same point. That's not the case anymore.
Well, I was going to say, this whole sub-ohm thing, I always thought was wrongly named, as you'll well remember. I thought it better described as higher wattage rather than sub-ohm, because with regulated mods, the resistance of the coils got sweet bugger all to do with it. As long as you're within the range that the mod can handle, you can do any wattage you bloody like. I mean, that's one of the reasons for getting the 300. That and the fact that it is, I mean, hell's delight. If you've got that in your hand and somebody comes to try and hit you with his man bag, you're going to knock them out when you punch them, aren't you?
It's sturdily built, for sure.
And headroom.
Yes.
Mine's not sturdily built. The back keeps falling off it.
Which one do you've got?
He's got an RX200.
It's a 2300 or something.
The RX230.
It's the 2/3 or something.
Ah, right. Yes, the 2.3.
That does happen because the button on the bottom, if you touch the button on the bottom, it tends to unlock it slightly. Yeah.
It does.
I've got the question from Gary Dibley that you put into chat a little bit earlier, and his question was, what do you guys think about battery makers printing "this battery is not for vaping"? LG and Sony have done so far.
All covering your backsides, isn't it?
Yeah. CYA, as my old boss used to say.
Well, it's not just CYA, but I mean, look, I purchased an LED torch the other day, and thanks to Graham, by the way, and when it arrived, it suggested that, you know, you wanted to be a little bit choosy about the batteries you use and not to use an off-label, unbranded, know what you need, and it needs to be able to supply at least 10 amps. So I stuck one of the 30 amp label ones in that I know does 18 or 20. And it's fine, it doesn't get hot, it's alright, it's okay. But if I was a naive torch user, which thankfully I'm not, then you could put anything in and it wouldn't necessarily work. And what's that one you're waving about, Dave?
Pardon?
I thought it was a torch. It's a bottle of beer. Fair enough.
I tell you, Dave, I dare say, actually, if you was to trawl through the torching forums enough, you would find similar things happening.
Oh yes.
Oh, you do. Yeah, absolutely, you do. Yeah, long before E-Cigs, I was into torches, and but like they've been around a suitably long time, and I think the kind of torches that you get that take 18650s tend to be for the nerdy types. If you go to, go and buy one from Tesco's or something, they'll generally just take the little CR123As or something like that.
I tell you what, go on to Amazon, type in LED torch 18650 and see how many you get.
There's one here. I've had this years and years and years. This is older than my oldest E-Cig. And, okay, this is kind of a case in point. This actually takes the little CR123As, is it, these ones?
Yes.
Oh, well. Got a couple of my billet box.
Yeah, these, but these are slightly lower voltage, I believe. Now, of course,
3 volts.
You could replace that with an 18650, 2 of them.
Yes. And
many people do. And there are a lot of do's and don'ts that you need to read up on if you're going to do that with torches. Well, so I never bothered.
This is the bottom line, isn't it? I mean, when we think about it, when you look at torches, when you look at e-cigs, when you look at anything that needs a lithium-ion battery, you've actually got to know what you're doing. Let's take this from stage one. If you go to the garage, Dave, you know what I'm talking. In fact, we all know what I'm talking about here. If you've got a guitar pedal, or you've got a smoke alarm, or you've got a little LED light for your video camera, or you've got any of that kind of crap that takes dry cells, alkaline cells, when they run out, if you need 8, you go and buy 8, you take the 8 out that are knackered, you put the 8 new ones in, and it comes in a blister pack. But you don't walk about with them shoved in your trouser pocket. That's the first thing. So nobody knows how much energy is in an 18650 lithium-ion battery. The bulk of people out there, I'm going to say, well, I'll pick 95%. It's a number everybody picks for all kinds of things to do with e-cigs. Nobody knows, 95% of people have no idea what a lithium-ion battery is. They look at it, it's a battery. And if you get not a PP3, a double A or a triple A battery and shove it in your pocket, it doesn't go bang when it touches all the coins and stuff like that. It might get a little bit warm, but it doesn't do you any great damage. So people are blasé about it. And
yeah,
when it comes to e-cigs, I mean, I think everybody knows, because I made a song and dance about it. Mario Glover bought me a highly ornate hybrid mod, and I've never used it in anger, and I don't even take it to shows because I don't want people to think they ought to buy them. And I've got a suggestion. I'm going to put this one out here now, and let's hear what the team thinks about this. I'm going to suggest that it would be a great idea if IBVTA, ICETA, UKVIA and ECBA all said to their members, it would be a damned good idea if we voluntarily withdrew all hybrids and mechs from general sale. We don't display them, we don't advertise them, only the people that know about them and really want them would come and ask for them, and they need to be made available to those people, because I don't want them banned and I don't want regulation on this. But take the bloody things off general sale. Stop fucking selling them, because they are going to cause the industry and us as vapers a problem. If there's going to be 100,000 shares of a Facebook post of somebody getting his face half blown off because he doesn't know how to use them, stop fucking selling them. Thoughts, chaps?
I think you got a point there. I can't recall any story about an exploding e-cig that isn't either A, bare battery in a pocket with coins or keys, or B, a mech mod. Can't think of anything. Can't think of one.
There's nothing.
Or a bad charger. A cheap.
I was just going to say, I do recall the odd ego going up. When I say ego, I mean a cheap copy of an ego with an even cheaper charger.
It's 97% of the time it is user error.
Yeah.
Or cheap kit bought off a market. unregulated charges, all that kind of stuff. There is argument to say that's a good idea, Dave. And then there'd be the other argument saying, well, if they're taken off general sale and you can't see them, then will the people who actually understand them be able to buy them? But I guess they would.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. I would speculate that most people who use them don't actually understand them.
Say that again?
I would speculate that most people that use a mech mod don't really understand them.
Well, that's certainly the case for me.
Well, yes. I mean, you know, if I was to ask you what Ohm's law was, Dave, would you know?
Yeah, because I did physics, didn't it? But how it applies practically to a coil on a battery. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could figure it out. Okay. I'm just trying to remember Ohm's law off the top of my head now.
V equals I over R.
That's it. And there's another iteration of it, isn't there, where you reverse it to get the draw, the current as well.
Watt's law.
But yeah, but the fact of the matter is, most people wouldn't. That's for sure. And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, I don't like the idea of choice being restricted.
Oh, it doesn't.
I think that there has to be an element of taking a bit of responsibility to make sure that stuff that is a bit risky, you know, is at least sold with the information that you need.
Well, look at
it's easy to say, isn't it, that you'll have an instruction book and, God forbid, warning labels covering a third of the package or whatever. Yeah, you know, you need something actually that actually works. Yeah, it's not quite under the counter what you're suggesting, is it? It's a case of like, you know, make it not the first thing that a newbie sees.
Exactly. And I've just had my ass kicked because it's V equals IR. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes, that would be right.
Sorry, Liam.
The thing with mechs is before vape shops became so commonplace in our high streets, which they are now, and they have done in the last couple of years, when you wanted a high-end mech mod, you went onto lists, you went onto sites like Vaporwall, and you sought these things out. And you waited and you spent silly amounts of money on them. And in general terms, you kind of knew it was getting into. So I kind of agree that maybe they shouldn't be on general sale in a shop.
Well, Rafetex brought a lovely point up. Kit cars, custom motorbikes. If you don't know how to build it, you don't bloody know how to drive it or ride it. I mean, I mess about with motorbikes, as people know. And
do you know what? I've thought of a better analogy as well, and that's remote control cars. Remember all the problems they've had with lipos over the years?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how do they deal with it? They make sure that you know what you're buying as a general rule, don't they?
They won't sell you they won't sell you a battery that doesn't fit into the car. It's a lightweight pack, and when you buy them, they come properly packaged up and all the rest of it. You know, there's no messing about with bloody bare batteries and what have you. I mean, hell, you've only got to puncture one of those with a staple, and the house has gone up.
As an aside, I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, someone pushing one in a hydraulic press.
Yes.
God, that was a mess.
It was.
Yes.
But
and just to completely throw Dave's train of thought, I thought what Liam was saying there wasn't right, so I've just Googled it. No, it is I equals V over R.
I equals V over R.
In actual fact, he's corrected himself.
Well, but you know, it makes the point, because you've been around a while, I've been around a while, Blaze has been, Liam's been around a while, and between us, we're scraping about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And all of us, all three of us, in fact, all five of us, in fact, most folks watching this now would be able to walk into any and every vape shop and convince them that we were fit and proper persons to be sold
True.
a mech or a hybrid. And the bottom line on it is, you are until you're not. And it doesn't take anything to get it wrong. Take a hybrid, right? You go and buy yourself a hybrid mod, and everybody is going to have a tank like this one that's got a flush or slightly recessed centre pin, right? And it doesn't matter what anybody will know, I'd never put that tank onto a hybrid. And then you get to the stage where you've just had a pint of very, very good, whatever it happens to be, in my case, gin and lemonade, and you go, me tank's empty. Oh, look, this one's full. And you screw it onto the hybrid, you press the button, and because you've got a 0.12 ohm coil in there, and not that that would matter, but because the button's flat, you automatically short the bloody thing straight out, and lo and behold, you're in a hospital with 7 teeth missing and God knows what else. Yeah. That's the point.
Do you know what? Do you know the reason that none of us here could just actually reel off Ohm's law without thinking about it? If I hold this up to the camera, am I on screen?
You are.
Yeah, it's just a little. I don't know how well that'll focus. It'll be a while before I find out myself.
21 watts, mate. That's what that said.
Yeah, it didn't just say 21 watts. It also says 2 volts. Well, when I press the button, 6.4 amps and 0.19 ohms.
Yes.
It does all of it for me. It takes all of the trouble away. All of the information I could possibly want. And I don't even look at it because it takes care of it for me and it keeps me within safe margins. But that's why we can't remember Ohm's law. We just don't need it anymore because it does it for you.
Well, look, I mean, we've all... Hang on. Let's ask a question. Periscope, get ready for this. I just want you to type yes if the answer's yes. The same applies to our chat. The same applies to Facebook chat. If you... now, this very second, are using a mech or a hybrid, type yes. A mech or a hybrid, type yes. Let's see how many people are. And I shall wait for a second or two.
Well, I'll wait for that to come through, Dave. Neil Ormiston has just said in chat, this guy really had a 0.08 ohm build. He was trying to draw 52.5 amps from a single 1860.
It's bound to go bang. I'm not seeing any yeses anywhere.
No.
Nobody's using a mech. Nobody's using a mech. Let's try it again. If you are using a regulated mod and the ohmage, the resistance of your coil or coils, i.e. what's in your tank or the core, is less than 1 ohm, please type yes now. We'll get Periscope first. Then we'll get Facebook.
I had a couple of yeses in our chat.
Did you?
Yeah, all Dave Apes said yes, and Andy Earl said yes. Oh, Nathan91 said yes.
All right, I didn't see any.
There's a fair load on Periscope now.
Yes, these are all yeses to the
to the regulated
the regulated mod because it's much quicker on there than it is in the.
Yeah, it's just scrolling up the screen. Yeah.
Yes, so most people then are using regulated mods, whether they are temperature controlled, power controlled, or whatever. They're using regulated mods, and let's be right about it. I mean, you know, if somebody comes into a shop and says, "Oh, I've been vaping 5 weeks and I fancy a mech," what are you going to say to them? What should you say to them?
So what was the question, Dave? I wasn't listening.
I to be honest, I think the first thing I'd say is why.
Yeah, that's the first question. Why? Why do you want a mech? That was the question was, Marco. Somebody comes into a shop and says he's been vaping 6 weeks and he wants a mech, or she wants a mech. Let's not be sexist about it. What do you say?
Yeah, I would ask the question why, especially after 6 weeks. And I suspect there are people who are starting out and that is what they're going for because their mate's got them or his mate's got one.
Yep.
And they're starting out going very sub-ohm with hybrids or mechs, which is not the best place to start. Let's be honest here, it's not the best place to start. The best place to start is something simple and regulated until you can understand what's going on, rather than get something that potentially is a life-threatening piece of kit.
I know, but think about this, because I can go back with Gary Dibley right to the very early days, and there were people that had not been vaping very long would buy a Gary Dibley mod. That was all we knew. We didn't have circuit boards with all kinds of clever stuff on. we had Gary, who was being sensible about it, and we had atomizers that wouldn't suck the lifeblood out of these things, that wouldn't cause batteries to go postal. We didn't get batteries going postal in those days.
That's what's changed, is these really quite incredible atomizers. You know, and Jesus, there was Canthal, and it came in about 2 different gauges if you bought it from vaping suppliers at least. And now what have you got to choose from?
Oh,
It's just crazy, you know. If I had all day every day to properly sort of understand it all, then I'd probably experiment a bit more with coils. But that's precisely the reason I don't.
there's also the fact that you couldn't go too high power. You couldn't get your coils too hot because you were using silica wick. That did not carry liquid to the coil as quick as cotton does.
No. Can I just say, Daz, Saper6 Daz has just put into the chat, we do not sell mech mods at all, and I've not done so since Sabone became the mainstay. I will just not allow it these days.
I know a lot of vape shops that don't sell mechanicals.
I saw a comment there from Deb Trainer as well, saying that they were left a bad review on Facebook because they refused to sell a mech to somebody. So, whilst I'm sad for your bad review, at least you did the right thing, Deb Trainer.
I was in
Give her a
vape
medal.
shop.
Give her a medal. Deserves a medal. No bad reviews here. That's medal. That's medal.
Right.
Sorry, Matt.
I was in a vape shop some time ago, a couple of years back maybe. Maybe not quite a long, I don't know, some time ago. And this young lad come in with a mechanical. Got chatting to him. I said, what's the resistance of your coils? And he goes, don't know. So I said, for fuck's sake. And so on and so forth. You get the idea what happened, yeah?
Yeah.
And he got a lecture.
And let's face it, that's a big problem that we're always going to have, particularly as vaping becomes more and more mainstream. We all know how many shops there are appearing on the high street now. Some of them come from very good beginnings, and some of them are jumping into a profitable industry. And they're going to sell over the counter whatever their wholesaler sells them. I won't mention the name, primarily because I can't remember it. But Matt, you were with me at Vapor Expo and we were talking to a wholesaler. Do you remember?
We were talking to a couple. Is this the one with
This is the one that was right near the VTTV
yeah,
stage.
with the wooden chipboard panels.
That's it.
I know.
And
that, yes.
we were asking them about the products that they were selling, and they had not got a clue.
No. It was calling me liquids and oils for a start, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. His signage actually referred to vaping oils, and they were selling various atomizers and what have you. And we were asking sort of questions, and he had no answers whatsoever. But
he was saying that he could supply us.
Exactly. But we could have as much of what he didn't know he had as we wanted. Yeah. And you know, this is a very real thing that we've got to deal. I mean, I know that all the vendors that are in our chat tonight, and some of them are very vocal and very encouraging, I have to say, are clued up because they're here and they're taking the interest and they're taking the time. But it's not the case for all, unfortunately.
There's a guy's come back from the future. David Luckhurst started in 2019, and he uses a mech.
I just saw that one.
Yeah, see. I knew it was bad for you.
Oh,
2010, there you go. He's obviously hit the zero. He's not hit the zero.
Is the Queen still around?
No, look, I do know. Sav's come in and told us there's 3 mech users in the main chat in our website chat. And if you're watching on Periscope and you're not in the UK or whatever, go to e-cigs.live and that'll take you to the live show on our website. It'll take you to the website that also has, you know, the archives of everything we've done and so on and so forth. We're also going out on Facebook Live. If you're on Facebook, tune in there. Just search for Vapor Trails TV anywhere and everywhere you like, and you'll find us on all kinds of things, including here on Periscope, including here on Facebook Live, including here on YouTube and on our own website. I just thought I'd get the plug in because
we love you wherever you are.
We do. It's the only thing we can advertise is where we live. Basically, that's the bottom line, right? Look,
I just want to clarify something. Actually, I mean, I'm not against mech mods as such. I think they have a place, but as far as I'm concerned, their place is now the hand-turned lathe manufacturing excellence, look at it on the shelf sort of thing. I mean, I'm still very fond of the Genesis atomizer, the old stainless steel mesh jobbies, but I don't use them anymore. That's the same for me now.
Look, like I say, I'm a biker, right? And when I go down to the various different bike meets, there's lads there that have built their own bikes, and I've got nothing but admiration for them, because I know for a certain fact I couldn't do that. I don't have the mechanical knowledge, I don't have the mechanical skills, I haven't got the tools, and I can't be asked. 4 good reasons for not building your own motorbike. But I see lads down there, they've built these things that are absolutely, they're out of this world, and they're not, stretched front ends and all of that kind of stuff. These are proper motorbikes, and they're being ridden by lads that know exactly what they're doing, and that's great. That's fabulous. And I think, we've got to allow people to do that. I don't mean, no, we've got to not stop people from doing that. And the same applies with the mech mods. We've got to not stop people from doing them. But for the mainstream of vapor, we need to get them to understand that if you're going to do that, you are actually taking a much greater risk than if you go in and buy something that's regulated, that is supplied with the proper batteries so you know what to buy in the future, that is supplied with the proper batteries in a condom or a box so that you know how you're supposed to store them, that are supplied in a kit with a charger that's not going to make the batteries go bang when you charge the bloody thing up. This is all about keeping your customers, isn't it, really? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about your customers living longer. They're going to because they're vaping, so make it easier for them to get it right and keep vaping successfully for longer. Invoke the pleasure principle. Give them stuff that you know is going to work for them. Like I say, all of us on the team here tonight, we've all got the knowledge to wind our own coils. Some of us, and I'm not mentioning any names, but he's over my right shoulder, can even make their own clapping coils because they're that clever. Can't you, Matt?
Some sort of twat makes those sort of things.
Well, exactly. But, we've got that. Now, Grey Vapor has said, surely part of the cool of mechs is people seeing the V-God guys doing their tricks. And yes, it is. I'm sure it is. But, if...
V-God have actually released a regulated mechanical mod.
They have.
Sorry, I said that wrong. A regulated mod. I'll take the word mechanical out.
Yeah, that's absolutely the answer to that, isn't it? Even they have made sure that the mod that they endorse is regulated.
In fact, we actually raffled one off at the show on our stage last year.
We did.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Here's the thing, though. This particular Facebook story has been shared nearly 200,000 times.
Jesus Christ,
right?
Like.
And so then how many thousands of vapors are going to go back to smoking because they've seen that and thought, oh shit, this is not good. But here's the big thing. 200,000 shares on that story, but you try getting 200,000 shares on something that is important to the industry, sharing a petition or sharing information or other things. You just can't get that kind of shares.
It has, I believe, already hit the Daily Mail as well.
Yeah.
But by the same token, everyone remembers bus found in the North Pole, but no one remembers the score of Maston Villa in 1989.
Well, Freddie Starr ate my hamster. The thing is, though, the other thing is that how long is it going to be till the likes of Chapman, Glantz, and everything else latches on to this story and just uses it as more ammunition? And this is what happens when we get a little bit of bad publicity. It gets latched onto by the naysayers, by the ants, and they're all over it like a rash, probably with a box of tissues and a really long plastic glove.
Alan Tadley on Periscope has said you have to have gory pictures to create interest, and there's no gory pictures in a successful vapor, unless it's me or Dave Kitson.
Just following on from what Marco said there, it hurts in two ways. There's the bad publicity that it generates, Marco. Totally agree with you, but also read some of the comments below that Facebook article.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of nasty comments.
The amount of people who were tagging their friends who vape and saying "see," and then there were a few where they replied saying, God, yeah. Thanks for letting me know. You know, that's potentially a vapor that's just gone back to being a smoker.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
I've been on air as
well.
well. I was tagged in that by my nephew.
Oh, there you go. There you
So
go.
do you know what I mean? Which I replied to.
This is the point. This is the point. Look, we've got a range of devices here that are capable, as we've said before, of reducing the harms that we are told that smoking causes. And I'm choosing my words extremely carefully here because I think I need to. And we know, whether you agree with it or not, the science has shown that the risk profile of these things is unlikely to exceed and is very probably a great deal lower than 5% of the risk of smoking cigarettes. Now, everybody knows my stance on this. I couldn't give a toss whether you smoke, vape, do out, or play with yourself all day. I couldn't give a monkey's. It's your choice. You do what you want to do. But if this is going to result in a shed load of people being tagged into things and pressure being put onto them to switch away from vaping, where are they going to go? And really, certainly in the UK, certainly in the most of Europe, slightly different in the States, they ain't going to go to snus because snus is illegal. Where are they going to go? Straight back to the corner shop for 20 whatever it is they like to smoke. That's going to be the bottom line on it. And that's what we've got to guard against. And that's what the industry has got to guard against. And sometimes you've just got to take the pragmatic approach and realise, if we send out a battery that isn't in either a plastic box that is reusable and easily carried, or in a condom, people are going to put them in their pockets naked. In which case, bang, burned leg, bad publicity, fewer customers for the vendor. If they sell a hybrid to somebody that doesn't know that you've got to have a protruding center connector on your tank, whatever it is you want to call it, your atomizer, whatever, if they don't know that, then you shouldn't be, in fact, you shouldn't be bloody selling hybrids anyway. They're a stupid friggin' idea. And when it comes down to mechs, you've got to be bloody careful. You cannot just let somebody wander into a shop and buy something that they don't understand. Get the bloody things out of the cabinets and look after your own businesses. Now, I know I'm talking to the converted in here, and I know a lot of what I say just echoes round and round the echo chamber. But for God's sake, if you want to see vaping continue, these are the things you've got to do. Condoms on batteries, boxes on batteries, plastic ones, every last time. No excuse. Second, no hybrids. None, they're not required. Get shot of them, get them out of sight. If somebody comes in asking for one, ask the questions to make sure they know how to use it. And the same applies to other mechs. The only thing that should be on display in any vape shop is something that has got the protection of a chipset in it. I am now going to shut up and leave it to my mates.
I'm going to suggest something here, and it might sound a little bit callous, but I think if the whole regulation thing, all the speculation thereof, if that wasn't a thing, if we're all said and done and we can vape what we like, buy what we like and everything else, none of this would be an issue. I mean, cigarettes causes fires. How many times a year? Countless times. How many cigarette fires have stopped someone smoking? They've gone, oh, that catches my bed on fire. I'm going to stop smoking now.
And how many times does a fire started by a cigarette hit the news?
Exactly.
Unless someone dies, unless it's some old granddad who's died, then it might hit the news. Yeah. But generally doesn't, does it? Now that the chip pan fires.
It's become almost an acceptable risk, if you see what I mean. And I would speculate, and I'm trying to word this right, and I probably won't. I'd speculate that if all the regulation was done and we were okay, in time, this would be a non-issue as far as the media is concerned.
Quite possibly.
The question's just been asked. Should we have sealed battery boxes that come with a LiPo inside, that so the 18650s are done away with altogether? Should we have contained batteries in mods? There's a topic.
Now, I was thinking of that at the top of the show, actually. And the reason I was thinking that is, how long do you reuse a mod for?
Till something better comes along.
Yeah. By which time, those batteries in that mod, if you never took the batteries out, you had your free cells in there, they will still be good. Yeah.
Generally
So
speaking, yeah.
there is a case to be made for a sealed unit.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to a single unit. This little Zippo-like thing that we were talking about before Christmas, that's a sealed one. It's fine.
Let's face it, you get a sealed unit, and let's say it costs 50 quid.
Yep.
And that lasts you a year, 2 years. It's not a big outlay, is it?
Yeah, you'll have bought a new mod before then. There's a question to ask the chat. Who's used the same mod for more than a year?
What do you want them to type in, Dave?
Have you used your current mod consistently for more than a year?
I'm watching. I've got 2 me's from Sputs and Sprotty on.
I've been using that for a year.
Yeah, but I've not seen that in your hand for a long time. So
It's always in my hand. I've been alternating
apart from
between these
tonight.
2 all night.
So it's not always in your hand.
What's your other one, Marco?
The 2-3.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
What's
let's be a bit more clear on this. Has that been your sole mod for a year?
That
No.
one.
No,
Which
has
one?
that one been your sole mod for a year? Not these, that one.
No, and
Right.
I don't just use one mod because I've got 3 different flavors, which I
Yeah.
do. So but I've been using it every day for over a year.
the question is though? How representative are we for of the common man? And I don't
Not
mean
very,
that
it looks
nastily.
like.
Right.
Not very. I'm just looking at those answers coming in, and there's a lot of people in chat who have used the same mod for more than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are all the same tank and mod.
So that
That's
kind
because she hates everything.
I've got some mods that I've had for longer than a year that I use. But these things, I can't remember what I was doing the other day, but I bought my first ruler in January last year, and this is the 3rd. So I've replaced mine twice, basically. But I haven't used anything else, but one's died. I think the last one cracked. But it looks like a lot of people do. So that kind of answers the question on sealed mods, really,
Okay,
doesn't
so
it?
the next question to ask them, not quite. Is it acceptable, chat, Periscope, or whatever, is it acceptable to replace your mod on a yearly basis? Would you be happy to do so?
Can I chime in while they're typing their answers in?
Okay.
I do anyway.
Yeah.
And in other spheres, I mean, I know a lot of the biking fraternity get a new bike every year because they just do. It's their hobby. It's what they like to do. They've budgeted for it, and that's fine. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm getting if it was broken. What else are we getting? Gary Dibley changed the bat at 6 months on whatever it was he was using. Grey Vapor says if it's not broke, don't fix it. Mild Dolphin says no, he wouldn't buy one every year. You see, we're talking about very different people, aren't we? Really?
There's also the fact that how many of those people that have just typed no have an iPhone or a Samsung phone that doesn't have a replaceable battery? Yet they're quite happy to go out every couple of years when their contract expires and get a new one.
Yeah, but you get your new one for not the cost of the...
Yeah, but
pretty much
principle's
free,
the same.
innit?
They're happy enough to buy something they can't replace the battery in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, I got the Ocular. I bought the Ocular, right? And I gave it to Jill. And she used it for about 10 days. And then you remember that bloody great big black brick thing we got that had the wireless charging stand? I can't even remember who makes it now. I've got the box.
Vapor Shark thing.
The Craft Pro 150, right? And I'll look at it because, in truth, it's shite, but it's working very nicely for her. Both have built-in batteries. Both recharge either by plugging a USB in or by sticking it on the stand. And she prefers one to the other, and I'll explain why in a video that I'll get round to doing eventually. Jill doesn't mind that. I don't mind inbuilt batteries. The only thing I've got against them is all of the DNA 200s are hard, even when they were working, they wouldn't last me more than 2 or 3 hours the way I vape, because the batteries just weren't bloody big enough. So I would need more than one. And that's why I've actually got this RX300. Sorry, Mark, well, this video of yours is going to be a bit, usurped slightly.
No, don't usurp my video.
I'm gonna usurp.
I've got to fill at least 5 minutes from the unboxing alone.
Ah, you'll fill 5 minutes on the unboxing, man, because it's complicated. You've got to put 4 batteries in. That takes 5 minutes at least. No, I mean, I got this thing purely and simply because it's got 4 batteries in it. And it lasts. It's the first mod I've had in a long time that will take me through a 24-hour period. And it's doing that every day. I'm having no issues. I can use that all day and I don't need to change unless I fancy a change of flavour. And there'll be a lot of people here who'll go, who's he and what have you done with Dave Dawn? Yes, I'm into flavours. What can I tell you? That's the only
It's lasted
reason.
me 4 days, Dave.
That's because you're a wimp, Marco.
But no, it's because I'm using 3 different mods, because I changed my flavours as during the day. You know, so it's been
So
lasting
have
me
you
4
just
days.
answered me saying you've used the same mod for more than a year?
Yes,
you
not
say you
continuously,
3 or 4 a
Dave.
day.
Come on. My first RX200 died, which is why I bought 300.
Right.
Right.
So you're quite happy to replace a mod then?
Yeah, exactly. So the point of the question is, if that were a sealed unit and you had to chuck it and replace it, you know?
No, listen, I'm from Yorkshire. Don't you understand what it's like from being from Yorkshire? We don't throw things away. I've got every single mod I've ever owned or ever
Yeah.
been given or anything apart from ones that are dead.
Same here, but I can't remember myself ever having gone more than probably 4 or 5 months
But remember,
without
Dave,
changing the mod that
you-
I use most.
you've got to remember, Dave, Marco recycles his toenails.
Well, this is true.
Make some good toenail jam out of it. Yeah, it's really
Oh,
good. Dave.
Jesus Christ, lad, you had to
Well,
top
you
it,
started
didn't
it,
you?
mate. Come on.
But honestly.
If you're going to be
The
flippant,
obvious thing we're missing here, keeping it on topic, like, is the vast majority of vapors out there are using a Cigalike or an Ego or something with a non-replaceable battery anyway.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah, very
quite
true.
happy.
Very correct. Yeah. Bear in mind that things like eye sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's that. You know, I hadn't even thought of that. If you're using an Ego, even actually the new Vape E-Tank Pro fixed battery, and look at this. That was intended for the sub-ohm market, the Aspire CF Sub fixed battery, just crap way of
Yeah.
charging it, which is why it doesn't get used.
Yeah, same here. I've
Mine's
got one and
silly,
nothing
it's
to charge it with you.
well, I see, I've got one of those, and I've also got the charger.
Well, we're all
That's only because you hassled Matt at Vapor Expo for it.
right,
Matt from Premier E-Cig gave me the charger. Yeah,
we're all coming around to your house to charge ours up then.
yeah. I'll lend you it.
Thank you. That's very
But
good.
I mean, look at the E-Cig Supreme. You know, we all bought them, didn't we, at the first Vapor Expo?
Mhm.
And Sav's got mine now, the orange one. Yes, the orange one. But Mrs. Van
Piece of
B
crap,
still
that
uses hers.
I've got 2 of them. They're both broken.
Mine was a piece of crap.
The
Well,
fire button on them is crap.
Paul Robinson here on Periscope, he's just said that he thinks that the sealed battery mod's the way to go and it's safer for new vapors. And it doesn't matter whether it's a tube or a box, does it really?
Is the K box sealed? I've never owned one of them.
The K box. No.
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 18650.
Right.
There's a fair few sealed ones out there if you take in all the mainstream tubular e-cigs.
In fact, the guy next door who reintroduced the vaping last year, I got him 2 sealed mods.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to mess around with charging batteries.
Yeah.
He just wants to plug a USB lead into it, and that's it.
Does seem to me like an unnecessary hassle these days.
It does, and the vast majority of people are like that. It's only us in chat and here who go, "Oh, I don't mind sticking a battery on the charger."
It's a weird thing, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. I'm trying to think now of a mobile phone that does have a replaceable battery.
There's not many now. There's a couple out there, but
It's not shooting straight to the top of my head, that's for sure.
no.
And even, you know, I just got this stuff for Keith next door. That's got integral batteries. They're lithium ion. I got a thing for the cameras so that I could use a camera out onto the iPad. It's all got it. Everything's got inbuilt batteries. But we've spoken about this before. Brian Core says something like the Anakin interchangeable batteries are a good idea. Now,
Yeah.
three of us in this chat are Osmo owners. And they have a battery with an external charger, but it doesn't have a positive and a negative at either end, and the terminals are not get-atable. It's very, very difficult to short one of those out.
What's an Osmo?
An Osmo, you know, the camera.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought he was on about e-cigs.
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
We've got devices that have properly set up batteries that have got intelligence inside them, so they'll shut it down if the charger doesn't.
Aye, yeah, that's true.
You know, it's all capable of being done, and maybe we need to put the pressure on. But I'm looking at a more immediate solution at the minute, and I think we do need to be able to inform people a lot better about batteries. Let me give you a case in point. The VTC4. This is not going to show very well, and I'm sorry I don't have close-up cam, but I'm going to stick it there, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see it very well unless I can. Let's move to a slightly different shot, and I'll turn it around so people might be able to see. If you're watching on Periscope, Matt, you'll be able to see that, as will you, Dave, and everybody else. So you can see that. That's a VTC4. It's real. It's guaranteed real, right? But look at it. Would you use that?
I've got a couple of doing the same thing.
Would you use them?
No.
Personally, no.
No. I've got no intention of using those. If I was to strip them and reskin them, maybe. But the way they stand at the moment, they are going to go to a recycling place that I'm very well aware of that has the facility for disposing of them safely, because the juice that's soaked into them, and that's what it is, there's juices dropped into them, it's starting to attack the casing. They'll go before too much longer, and I want them out the house before they do. They're certainly not safe to use, but how many people would pick those batteries up and go, oh, that's fine, the batteries, and put them into something and use them?
Actually, you raise an interesting point there. Not a good idea to go and stick these batteries in your battery bin at Tesco's. No. You've got to go somewhere that's got safe disposal for them. What'll happen is I'll chuck them in salted water for a few hours just to completely, drain them down before I take them through to the disposal place in Sunderland. But they've got a place that can take hazardous battery waste. Paul Robinson just said, keep your batteries clean. But what happened basically with those, they were in a Tupperware box that I had some stuff in that I need to transport about the place, and a bottle just went and soaked the whole thing, and it got through into the condoms and just soaked it right the way through. So when I took the batteries out, they were screwed. No point in even thinking about using those. I wouldn't even try to rewrap them. They're just going to get shot off. They've seen us through. They've done their bit. They don't owe us anything, so they've got to go. But how many other people would take the same attitude as that? Mm-hmm. It's worrying. It's very worrying. So,
well, that's the question, really, isn't it? Is, how do we get that information to the people that need it? How do you educate people on battery safety?
Find the answer to the question I heard.
And we're not going to get any help from her.
Even Alexa's going off on her own. What's all that about?
Well, you know what that is, don't you? He's dripped some juice onto our lithium-ion batteries.
Ask Alexa if she's juicy.
Alexa, are you juicy?
I'm not sure what she meant by that question.
Do you know, I've asked women that and they've said exactly the same thing. Oh, dearie me. Look, I mean, we're hurtling towards 10 o'clock, and I think we would probably need to kind of pull this together with some concrete suggestions of what needs to be done, and what we can do. So let's start with Dave because he's got screen now. What would you suggest, Dave, that we as vapers do to put right this what is obviously wrong?
Well, I think as vapers, we get asked. People come to us and ask us about vaping. Steer them towards something that ain't a mech, and where possible, steer them to perhaps towards something that's actually sealed, that doesn't actually require you to carry extra 18650s around in your pocket. As advocates, I think, we should be leaning on some of the industry associations now, to try and get the message to the actual vendors and the wholesalers. And this could start at source, can't it? These things can be shipped in plastic boxes.
Yes. I got it
sold as one box.
It
can happen.
I got, I'm so bad at this. I'm going to try and check through. I got a message the other day from a vendor who sent me a picture of his delivery of 18650s, all in pairs, all in plastic boxes, the likes of which you've got and the likes of which Marco's got, and most of us have. They came in like that and they were going out like that. That's fabulous, and I do apologise.
I would have thought for a vendor that's actually quite, an easy way to sell your product as well.
Well, it's
sell them in boxes of 2s and 4s.
Yep.
How many boxes do you want?
That particular box, Dave, is about 80 less than $1 on the Chinese website.
I think I paid, it was about £18 for everything you see here. It doesn't have to be a lot of money.
Do I need to point out that I went to the Chinese website, which may or may not be called Alibaba, and did a search on battery condoms?
Yeah, I saw that post.
Yeah.
But they're less than a penny, are they, if you buy enough of them?
4 cents printed. In quantities of 1,000. 4 cents printed. And I'm here.
That's printed, so you can brand them for that.
Yes. And I'm here to tell you, we haven't announced it yet, so it's a bit of a giveaway. The NNA is going to be doing exactly that. We're going to get a whole load of battery condoms. Yes, but that's serious.
I have to say, I've got some Vapors in Power battery boxes.
Well, we're going to get the
next
battery
time you see
condoms.
Vapors in Power at a show or something, they were selling them. They hold 2 18650s.
Well, I'm not entirely certain whether we're going to give them away at shows or whether we'll be sending them out to for shops to sell as merch or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, I think you should give them to us.
Well, when did you become a Yorkshireman? As far as I'm concerned, can you remember at the end of Vapor Expo we had that bloody great big cardboard box that must have had 2,000 condoms in, and we chucked them around the audience? I'm quite happy to do the same again.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
to the few on the
our
floor
friend Matt,
afterwards.
wasn't it, who gave us those.
Yeah. We should definitely do that. Definitely do that. With a pen tucked inside each one.
Have we got any left, like?
Yes, I've got some in my loft, I believe.
I
Right.
think I've got a couple of boxes here somewhere.
I need a dozen at least. That's all my daughter
got-
will use.
I've got about 30 left, I think.
Paul Robinson said, sell them 20 pence each and make some money for NNA. I don't think anybody would object if we sold them cheap to make some money for NNA, so we'll do that.
I'd easily pay a quid for one, for crying out loud.
Right. Well, we'll do that then. We had the meeting on Tuesday in Bristol, and we decided we're going to do it, so we're looking at doing it, and hopefully it'll be in place before Vapor Expo. Tish himself's just joined Periscope. Doesn't know we're nearly at the end, but there you go.
Right, sorry, I just double checked. Including postage, these 3 18650s plus the box, 21 quid.
And he's still clearly making money on that. Obviously,
And he's clearly making it's worth his while at that price.
Paul-
So, you know.
Paul Wilson is saying, I wish they'd do a 3 battery box. I have got a triple battery condom.
he has.
They were there at Vapor Expo. These things are available and they're easily available, and I've got no bloody idea why every vendor isn't putting the batteries in them. And they can't.
Actually,
Go on.
sorry, going back to Dave's battery box now. Who did you say you got them from, Dave?
Torchy.
Right. And has anyone ever said anything bad about him?
No, in fact, everybody normally praises him because he tests everything.
He tests them and he packages them properly.
Right. I bought these as 3x30 amp Torchy brackets Samsung 30Q 3000 milliamp hour flat top 18650 3.7 volt lithium ion batteries and case. That's just the description on eBay. Right.
So that's what I got from Torchy at Vape Collective last year.
Right.
This case, and in the case are my batteries, and each battery, because I've got a labeler, as you do, they're all labelled. So I've got set 1, set 2, so they're always charged at the same time, used at the same time. And I bought 2 of these from Torchy, and I think I paid $15, 15 quid for that, including the case, for 3 sets of 3.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a few little things actually. There's a little expo going on in Nottingham next month, which we're going to talk about in next week's show. But I know Torchy's going to be there, so I should be seeing him, I
He
think.
does some very good show prices, does Torchy.
He does.
He does.
Brian Coe
Yeah.
has just said, if you don't use a condom, you're a prick. You missed a word out, Brian. If you don't use a condom, you're just a prick. You're not a safe prick, that's for sure.
And I believe these condoms are Catholic friendly as well.
Yeah. Got a very small hole in the end.
But
No.
yes, I mean it stands to reason, doesn't it? You should keep your batteries in a safe way.
John Lonsdale, I'll need to read this out. John Lonsdale has green condoms for his charge batteries and blue condoms for the ones that need charging. That's organisation.
Aye.
That's OCD.
No, it's CDO, because it's in the right order.
Oh, yeah, I knew you'd say that.
No, it's COD because that makes a word, and it's cash on delivery. Nottinghamshire, Deborah Trainer says. Nottinghamshire. Tune in.
Yes, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it next week. In fact, we're going to have one of the organisers on the show next week.
Are we?
Yeah. You should look at our Skype chat occasionally, Dave.
No, I do. This was me eliciting more teasery information type stuff.
He was doing his presentery thing.
Yes, so we're going to have 2, I think. 2 of the organisers are going to be on the show next week. We're going to talk about that. So I won't tell you what it is yet. You have to come and tune in and watch it, won't you?
Yeah,
But then, of course, don't
hard
forget,
questions.
in May, there is going to be the next Vapor Expo as well.
Dick Puddlecoat says BBB equals batteries belong in boxes. Plopinol says white condoms for Evo 75. You thought the last one was bad. White condoms, come on, for Evo 75. Where the hell is it? Who's delete? Where is it? Come here. Sit still, you little sod.
I tell you,
I'll find it.
I thought I was being all organised and clever because I got a Sharpie and wrote a number on my set about my batteries, you know.
Here it
1,
is.
2, and 3.
Here it is. White condoms for Evo 75, blue for DNA 75, and black 3-cell for DNA 200. You're nowhere near OCD.
I just like my label printer.
I am going to pinch a Wraith Techism and say, I agree with you. Holy shit, snacks.
But you know,
That would have been an
industry,
interesting episode of Scooby-Doo.
they're always charged at the same time, always used at the same time. They're not mixing up the sets, so they are kind of, in all intents and purposes, matched. And I do that for the sets of 2, the sets of 3, and also now the sets of 4 for the RX 300.
You've got to have some kind of little system. You cannot be blasé about these things.
No.
Just totally off topic. During our discussions tonight, I have tried a new beer, which I'd now like to recommend to everybody.
Ooh, there's a nice little doggy on the label.
It's a black IPA,
Ooh.
and it's gorgeous.
And what would you recommend vaping with that beer, Dave?
Dinner Lady Lemon Tart.
That's all you vape.
Because that's all I got.
I need some more of that because I've run out.
Now, didn't Andy Sutton, just throwing a curveball here, didn't Andy Sutton once do a thing where he was recommending drinks to vape?
That sounds vaguely familiar, yeah.
We're talking about a few years ago now.
Everything
Colton
Andy
seconded
Sutton did was a
Vapers
few years
big
ago.
into
Now, I've just got a question here because Sav has very kindly shoved it into our Skype chat because we probably missed it in our chat. Jim Rafter said, how often should batteries be replaced? Good question.
The answer to that is if they start not performing or
Yeah.
underperforming, get shot of them because they're on their way out.
And if you go,
Yeah.
hang on a minute, this was lasting twice as long last week. Yeah, they're no good anymore.
Yeah.
Get
But
shot.
also, if they're damaged in any way, if the wrap is damaged, if they're soaked with e-juice, then it's probably best to get shot of them safely and get some new ones.
I would go as far as saying if you're asking yourself the question
Change them.
and the cost is not a major deal to you, just do it. You're covered.
In fact, I believe Gary Dibley said in the chat earlier that he replaces all of his batteries every 6 months.
Yeah. Paul Robinson 804 here on Periscope has said if they charge faster than usual, if they achieve full charge quicker than they normally do, their capacity's gone, get shot, because once the capacity starts to drop.
I would say any change in behaviour.
Yeah.
You can get battery chargers that actually tell you how much voltage has gone into them, or how much amperage or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. If you keep a little bit of paper nearby and write down every time you charge them. Yeah. And if you see that figure drop, then you know they're no good.
Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right. On which bombshell, I think we should probably call an end to the show. Draw a line under it. What do we think, chaps?
I think so.
Yeah, we've gone past 10. Why not?
Dave?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm sorry, I'm just ordering some batteries.
If they don't come in condoms, do tell us.
And I believe yes, it would appear that he has not changed his price. £20.99,
Yes,
including delivery, that is.
indeed.
Could be bad.
Yes.
You're bad.
Not bad at all. Right. We've ranted, we've raved, we've made suggestions, we've been relatively polite, which is fucking unusual for us, really.
No.
And the time has come for us to go, and so we say farewell. Hello. So my thanks have to go to, in no particular order, Dave Kitson,
Cheers.
Marco van Basten,
Tatty bye.
Matt Gerish,
Diddly pip 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 pip.
and the bountiful beautyliciousness that is the one and only Sav, who's been wrangling, chatting, feeding stuff into our Skype conversation so that we could see what was going on. People, go and talk to vendors. Talk to the people that you normally use and tell them how you feel about what you've heard tonight. If you think hybrids and mechs ought to not be on display, go and tell your vendors. Because we can't really do with many more episodes like the unfortunate happenstance that this chap, Andrew Hall, is he? Yes.
It was.
We
Yes.
we don't want that to happen again. We can't do with that happening again, and we've got to take steps urgently to make sure it doesn't happen again. So we all know what to do. So thank you very much for tuning in. Whether you've been on Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube, or our website, we really appreciate your company. So until the next time we see you, don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and comment. We'll catch you all later. From all of us here, bye bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye, chaps.
Bye, chaps.
chaps.
We're gone.